Maxxxine, directed by Ty West, is the third film in the X Pearl franchise trilogy thing. I don't know, I've heard that we're getting a fourth installment after Maxxxine, not really sure how that's going to work, but whatever. So yeah, this has been a very successful trilogy so far for A24. It's gotten not only a lot of eyes on Ty West as director, on the studio as a whole, but especially on its star, Mia Goth. She has gotten, I don't know, so much more popular ever since that movie X came out back in 2022. And if you guys remember, obviously I reviewed both Pearl and X very favorably. I love both of those movies, and they've only grown on me since. I would honestly say that Pearl is a perfect score at this point, and X is right next to it, so very close. I think that X is one of the greatest slashers we've ever gotten, and Pearl is such a singular and interesting experience that, I don't know, I think it's one of the best character studies that we've gotten in a really long time. So for Maxxxine, I honestly put an unfair amount of hype behind it because from the trailer, from the concept, from the overall strength of the other two movies, I was expecting this to be the best in the trilogy. I had very lofty expectations for it. I thought, you know, that the 80s, you know, kind of grimy, more showbiz angle of this film really lended itself. The more, you know, whodunit mystery killer also, again, I feel like really lended itself to Ty West's style. So, I don't know, it felt like the perfect movie for this franchise to cap off on and to thrive in. And then it came to us, and I have thoughts on it. Maxxxine is a very mixed bag. I liked a lot of it, and once I set my expectations to the side a bit and kind of rolled with what it was giving me, I was enjoying it a lot more. However, it's severely disappointing in many ways. The thing I do want to get off my chest before we really get into talking about Maxxxine, I'm changing my rating system. I'm no longer doing grades. I'm going to be doing star ratings, so like 0.5, 1 out of 5, to 1.5 out of 5, yeah, the Letterboxd rating system. Just because I use Letterboxd and it's kind of a very important tool for me to use to categorize stuff and, you know, give you guys my thoughts early on before the review comes out. It's just stuff like that. And it is a little bit obnoxious on my end to, you know, kind of like say, oh, if I give this a 3.5, and would it be like a B plus? I'm not sure. So I will probably put out a video explaining it more. Probably I will, and kind of explaining what each of my individual scores mean. So definitely stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to let you guys aware that I am switching it up. For the positives first with Maxxxine, because overall this is a movie that I liked. I can say that as its own little thing, I got a lot of enjoyment out of. Mia Goth once again turns in a phenomenal performance as Maxxxine. The issues I have with her character in this film are not her fault. Excuse me. And I think that Mia Goth is ever the professional and is always kind of giving the best performance that she could possibly give in any movie that she's in. Does it reach the heights of her more scaled back and contemplative performance in X? No. Does it ever reach the heights of what she was able to accomplish in Pearl? Absolutely not. But it still is a very strong turn as Maxxxine Minx. I think that all of the guest stars kind of filled their role to some extent. I think Giancarlo Esposito did a great job. I think he is always a phenomenal actor, and he's very funny in this movie. I think that Lily Collins was really good in her limited screen time. I think that Kevin Bacon was interesting. Honestly, at first his character was really obnoxious. I think he was too much camp, but well, as the movie was going on, I ended up really loving what he was bringing to the table and doing almost like a complete 180 on his performance in this movie. Also really, really love the visual side of this film. Ty West, for all of his faults as a storyteller, for all, you know, the things he's not able to accomplish in his films, I think is one thing, if not a phenomenal visual director. And this movie only encapsulates that maybe the most out of all three of these movies. The reds that are used in this, the gore is absolutely phenomenal, and I'll get to that in a second. But just the specific shots that are used are emulated of the 80s so well, and are very period accurate, I would say. I feel like they were indicative of what this movie was trying to get across, and I think that I don't know, just the visual style of this film worked for me every single time. Going back to the gore, like I was saying earlier, it's easily the best part of this film. I think that the visual effects used are so good and pop off the screen in a way that really wasn't even able to accomplish in X or Pearl. And I think that the kills themselves were super creative. I think obviously like Dead Meat is going to have a great time with this movie just because of how elaborate a lot of the kills were set up, how perfectly executed they were. I think that they were, from a visual effects standpoint, were insane, especially something involving a car, and then a head explosion, and something involving balls, which not even going to talk about, but they were all, you know, they went straight for the jugular, and they were all very, very interesting and creative, and definitely got a big rise out of me every time they were in the movie. So yes, definitely I think that if you're just here for the kills, if you're just here, you know, for the horror aspect of this film, you're definitely going to be highly entertained. And once I kind of sat back, and once I kind of sat with what this movie was going to be, I ended up really enjoying the whodunit aspect of the film. It doesn't have the best payoff, I would say. It kind of lands in a way that is a little much, without spoiling anything, but I really enjoyed the mystery aspect of it. I found it to be engaging. I found the movie to honestly be really entertaining. It was very quick. It held my attention the entire time. It's fun. And this is I feel like I'm going to be able to rewatch this movie a lot. I feel like I'm going to be able to throw this on with a bunch of friends and we're all going to really enjoy it. It's a really fun summer movie that I think does what it was setting out for in Ty West's mind, if that makes sense. Maybe not the expectations that we all had as an audience, but I do think that it sets out to accomplish what the filmmaker wanted it to accomplish. Specifically, there's a sequence also, I just wanted to add this, in a nightclub between Kevin Bacon and Mia Goth's character. It's in the trailer, so this isn't really even a spoiler. That was my favorite part of the movie by far. I thought that was so well done from a visual standpoint and from a tension standpoint. It was excellent. But getting into the negatives of this movie, man, I was let down by a decent amount of Maxxxine. I don't know, I had such lofty expectations for it just because of X and Pearl were both handled with such care and such dedication to the craft and such a love for each of the genres they were inhabiting, sorry. And this movie kind of at points just feels like a cheap imitation of that. Yes, it's campy, it's gory, it's fun. Maxxxine Minx is still a very interesting character to follow around, but she's not really given much to do here. I feel like they move in and out of plot points very loosely and kind of, I don't know, forget about certain things. I think that some character choices are very weird and kind of come out of nowhere. I think Bobby Carnival, however you say his name, and Megan Monaghan's character are both useless in this movie. I did like what they were bringing to the table, and I think that they could have been used very well, but they just didn't. I don't know. A lot of this movie I feel like had the right framework. It had the right idea. It had the, you know, it was on the right track, and then they kind of just dropped the ball in a lot of ways. I think the tone of this movie is super off. It bounces around from being really silly to serious to you know, creepy to boring at times. I don't know. I felt like this movie was incredibly messy. It also kind of fails to accomplish any sort of conclusion, any sort of real identity to what this movie wanted to be. I don't know. I felt like Maxxxine really was trying to be 12 different things at once, and it didn't really excel at half of those things. I think especially when it came to the conclusion, a lot of people have spoken about this, but I think the third act of this film just goes too far. Yes, it's fun, it's silly, it's very, very, I don't know, of its time, but I couldn't keep a straight face while watching it. Again, I know it was intentional, I know it was trying to be this corny, but it went too far. As I was saying before the camera cut me off, I think the third act of this movie is just a tonal mess. I think that it really doesn't accomplish what it thinks it's accomplishing. It is way too corny, it's way too ham-fisted, and way too out of left field to where it just kind of becomes schlocky and not in a good way. I think what really encapsulates why I'm a little bit disappointed with Maxxxine, and while I still like it overall as its own thing, but as a trilogy finale, it's super disappointing, is that the first two movies, for as campy as they can be, you know, as schlock as they can get at times, they still treat it seriously. They are still loving homages to each of the time periods they're encapsulating, and this movie just feels like a cheap imitation. It just feels like a, I don't know, rehash of things that didn't need rehashing. It feels shallow, and while the other movies are anything but. So yeah, I really am conflicted with Maxxxine. On the one hand, I really did like it as its own little thing. It's entertaining. I can see myself watching it a lot, but I don't know, looking beneath the surface, narrative choices, tonally how this fits in with the rest of the franchise, as an ending to the X trilogy, it's disappointing for sure. So yeah, I'm kind of left just feeling in the middle about it. So I'm gonna give Maxxxine a strong 3 out of 5. I think it's a good movie. I still like a lot of aspects of it, but I was left feeling kind of cold by the end. So that's my thoughts on Maxxxine. What did you think of it if you did see it? Did you end up loving it? Is it your favorite in the trilogy? Is it your least favorite like me? Please let me know in the comments below. Do you like the new rating system? I think it's going to work out way better for us. Long Legs comes out on Friday. My most anticipated movie of the year. I'm so excited for that. And then the Roundup review should be coming to us sometime this week. So, yeah. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.